Rick Grimes wakes from a coma to a silent, empty hospital. He finds no one, only blood and chaos. He stumbles outside, alone. A car drives past, ignoring him. He grabs a gun from a police car. Rick walks through a wrecked town. He finds a gas station, but the pumps are dry. He's running out of time. He spots a sheriff's car at an intersection. He approaches, but the driver's gone. Something is wrong. Rick finds a gas station with a sign reading Diesel $2.99. He grabs a red gas can. He needs fuel. Inside a car, a body slumps over the wheel. Rick looks closer. It's not sleeping, it's dead, and it's moving. He runs from the car, heart pounding. He finds a junkyard. He hides behind a white car, catching his breath. Rick crawls under a car, searching for tools. His hat falls off. He grabs it, then sees a zombie nearby. He stands up, gun ready. He points it at the zombie. He fires. The shot echoes through the empty streets. Rick drives away, looking for his family. He finds a police car with a radio. He tries to call for help. The screen fades to black. AMC Presence appears. The world is broken. Rick is alone. But not for long. 2 boxes of food sit in a car. Rick eats a sandwich. He's hungry. He needs to keep moving. His family is out there. Rick drives with Shane Walsh. They talk about the world. Shane says it's gone. Rick refuses to believe it. They spot a car on the road. It's moving. They chase it. Shane laughs. Rick keeps his eyes on the road. Shane smiles. He's happy to be with Rick. He says they'll find his family. Rick nods, but he's not sure. They pull over. Shane gets out, gun drawn. He aims at the car. He shouts for the driver to stop. Shane fires. The driver falls. The car crashes. Shane runs to the body. He checks for a pulse. Nothing. The driver is dead. Shane stands over him. He looks at Rick. He says they need to keep moving. The world is dangerous. Shane lies in a hospital bed. He holds a vase of flowers. He looks at the ceiling. He's hurt, but he's alive. He whispers to himself. He says he'll find Rick. He says he'll protect him. He closes his eyes. He's tired. Rick Grimes wakes up alone in a silent hospital. He calls out, but gets no answer. The world outside is eerily quiet. He pulls the tubes from his chest, ignoring the pain. His only thought is finding his family. He needs to get out now. Rick stumbles from his bed, weak but driven. He grabs a flower vase, his only comfort in this empty, cold room. He tears open his hospital gown, searching for something to wear. His clothes are gone. He must find a way out. Rick walks down a dark, empty hallway. The lights flicker. He hears no voices, only the sound of his own steps. He stops, listening. A clock ticks loudly. The silence is worse than any noise. He knows something is very wrong. Rick turns a corner, his eyes scanning the dark. He sees a sign for the emergency ward. His heart pounds as he moves forward. He pushes through a door, stepping into a brighter area. He looks around, searching for any sign of life or help. Rick stands in a ruined hallway, wires hanging from the ceiling. He stares ahead, realizing the hospital is abandoned and broken. A heavy door is chained shut. Rick stares at the lock, knowing he must find another way out. He won't be trapped here. He looks up, his face tense. He hears a noise above. He freezes, listening. Something is moving in the darkness above him. Rick shines a flashlight into the dark. He sees nothing but shadows. He moves forward, each step slow and careful. His bare footsteps onto a stair. He climbs, each step creaking. He doesn't know what waits for him at the top. He bursts through a door into daylight. He shields his eyes, blinking. He's outside, but the world is not what he remembers. Rick steps over bodies wrapped in sheets. He doesn't stop to look. He knows they are dead. He must keep moving. He walks between rows of covered corpses. He doesn't look at their faces. He only thinks of his wife and son. He steps onto grass, barefoot. He walks fast, his hospital gown flapping. He needs to find his family before it's too late. He sees a military base, burned and abandoned. Helicopters lie broken. He knows the world has changed forever. Rick finds a bicycle. He kneels beside it, checking the tires. He needs to ride. He must find his family before night falls. He pedals away, the zombie behind him forgotten. He doesn't look back. His only goal is to reach his wife and son. Rick stumbles out of a house, clutching his side, desperate to find his family. He turns, scanning the quiet street, searching for any sign of life. Rick's voice cracks as he calls out, hoping someone will answer. He collapses onto a low wall, exhausted, the world around him silent. Rick looks up, confused, as a figure appears behind him with a shovel. Morgan stands over Rick, shovel raised, ready to strike if needed. Morgan points a revolver at Rick, demanding to know who he is. Rick lies in bed, bandaged. as Morgan tends to his wounds carefully. Rick stares at the ceiling, listening to Morgan explain the new world. He closes his eyes, trying to process the horror Morgan just described. Rick rises from bed, determined to leave and find his family now. Morgan sits beside him, warning him the world outside is dangerous. He speaks urgently, telling Rick he must understand the rules to survive. Rick sits on the curb, overwhelmed, as Morgan and Dwayne watch from afar. They approach slowly, ready to help him if he agrees to listen. Rick stands inside a house, shirt-stained, looking for clues about his family. Morgan and Dwayne enter, watching him closely, unsure if he's safe. Morgan speaks calmly, trying to convince Rick to stay and learn. He gestures toward the door, urging Rick to see the truth outside. Rick walks down a dark hallway, flashlight cutting through the gloom, searching for answers. A man screams in the shower, unaware of the horror outside. Rick wakes in a jail cell, confused and alone. He finds Morgan, who warns him the world has changed. Morgan's son Dwayne watches as Rick learns the new rules. Rick stares through bars, realizing he must leave. He grabs his sheriff's car, ignoring Morgan's pleas. Morgan urges Rick to stay, but Rick refuses to wait. Rick stands firm, determined to find his family. Morgan and Dwayne watch him drive away, worried. Rick slams into a chain-link fence, bleeding and stunned. Morgan boards up his house, preparing for the worst. Rick walks down a quiet street, his car abandoned. Morgan packs a suitcase, ready to leave with Dwayne. He sits, thinking hard about what to do next. Morgan covers his mouth, overwhelmed by fear. He moves a chair to block the window, staying alert. Rick drives, his face reflected in a cracked rearview mirror. Shane talks on a radio, unaware Rick is coming. A woman and Shane stand outside, tense and waiting. A boy runs toward them, calling out for his father. Rick Grimes wakes up alone in a hospital, confused and weak. He stumbles through empty halls, searching for answers. He finds a horse outside, still saddled. Rick mounts it, determined to reach Atlanta and find his family. Rick rides into a deserted town. He spots a police car and grabs a radio, hoping to contact someone, anyone. The streets are silent, littered with abandoned cars and sandbags. Rick dismounts, drawn toward a military checkpoint. A walker lunges from the shadows. Rick panics, scrambling backward as the creature snarls and reaches for him. He hides inside a tank, heart pounding. The metal door slams shut as walkers pound against the outside. Inside the tank, Rick finds a dead soldier. He searches the body, hoping for clues or supplies to help him survive. Rick whispers to the corpse, asking for guidance. He grabs the soldier's rifle, knowing he'll need it to stay alive. He climbs onto the tank's turret, scanning the horizon. The city is quiet, but he senses danger lurking nearby. Rick slumps against the tank's wall, exhausted. He closes his eyes, trying to gather strength for the journey ahead. He stares at the radio, hoping for a signal. Static crackles, but no voice answers. He's truly alone in this world. The radio remains silent. Rick drops it, frustrated. He knows he must keep moving if he wants to find his family. Walkers swarm the tank, clawing at the metal. Rick watches in horror, realizing how vulnerable he truly is. The screen cuts to black. Silence hangs heavy. Rick's fate hangs in the balance as the walkers close in. Morgan stands on his RV, scanning the trees. He holds binoculars, watching for threats while protecting his son. He spots something in the distance. Morgan grips his rifle, ready to defend his camp from any approaching danger. Lori runs through the woods, breathless. She's searching for something or someone desperate to escape the chaos. She kneels beside a red bag, digging through it. Lori's hands shake as she grabs supplies, knowing time is running out. Lori looks up, listening for sounds. She's alone, but she refuses to give up. Her family is out there somewhere. Shane leans over Lori, whispering urgently. He tries to calm her, but his words can't erase the fear in her eyes. Lori lies in the grass, her hand trembling as she holds a thin thread. She whispers a name, hoping someone will hear. Empty shelves line a silent store. Dust covers everything. A single can rolls across the floor, echoing in the stillness. A highway stretches toward Atlanta, choked with abandoned cars. Smoke rises in the distance. No one moves, no one survives. Rick is trapped inside a tank, surrounded by walkers. He watches them claw at the metal, knowing escape is impossible. Rick sweats inside the tank, his breath ragged. He grips his gun, waiting for a chance to break free from the nightmare. A woman points a gun at Rick, screaming for him to stop. Others stand behind her, ready to defend their safe space. Rick demands answers, his voice shaking. He needs to know where his family is. He refuses to accept silence. Rick stares into the distance, his eyes scanning the ruins. He knows he must keep moving. He has no other choice. A group argues inside a store. One man insists they stay. Another says they must leave. Tensions rise fast. Survivors gather on a rooftop scanning the city. One man holds a rifle, watching for threats. No one sleeps easy. A man in a vest confronts another, shouting. The group watches, tense. One wrong move could end everything. Rick charges forward, shouting at the man in the vest. He doesn't care about threats. He needs to find his family. The man in the vest aims his gun at Rick. His hand shakes, but his voice is steady. He won't let anyone leave. The group tries to calm the man in the vest. One woman pleads with him. He doesn't listen. He's too far gone. Rick grabs the man in the vest by the throat. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. His grip says everything. Rick leans close, his voice low. He tells the man he won't back down. The man's eyes widen. He knows he's lost. Rick releases the man, who collapses to the ground. Rick turns away, his hands still shaking. He can't afford mercy. Rick leans on the rooftop edge, staring at the city. Another man stands beside him, silent. They both know the truth. Below, walkers fill the streets, shuffling aimlessly. No one moves to stop them. No one is left to fight back. The group sits on the rooftop, exhausted. One woman checks her bag. They've lost too much, but they're still alive. Rick stands on the rooftop, scanning the city for any sign of his family. He knows he must move, but where? Glenn looks out over the skyline, his face set. He knows the dangers below better than anyone else here. Inside the dark stairwell, the group huddles together. They whisper plans, hoping the walkers won't hear them. Rick, Glenn, and Andrea descend the stairs. Rick grips his baton, ready to fight if the walkers break through. Rick turns to Glenn, asking for help. Glenn nods, understanding the risk, but willing to guide him through the city. A man blocks their path in the tunnel. He demands to know who they are and why they're down here. Walkers press against the glass doors, moaning and clawing. The group watches, frozen, as the doors begin to crack. Andrea stares at Rick, her voice low. She doesn't trust him yet, but she knows they need to work together. Andrea's eyes narrow as she studies Rick. She's trying to decide if he's someone she can rely on. Shane sits on the rooftop, cleaning his weapon. He's waiting for the others to return, but he's not patient. Shane's voice is rough as he speaks. He's tired of waiting and ready to take matters into his own hands. Shane kneels beside a pipe, wrenching it open. He's trying to find water, but every move could draw worse. A flashlight beam cuts through the dark, revealing a metal grate. Someone is trapped below, screaming for help. Rick and Andrea stand in the store, searching for supplies. She finds a small mirror and smiles faintly. Rick's eyes lock onto Andrea's. He's trying to read her, to understand if she's on his side or not. Walkers slam against the glass doors, their hands smearing the surface. The group backs away, weapons ready. Rick confronts the man in the tunnel, demanding answers. The man refuses to back down, standing his ground. A figure bursts through a door, bat in hand. He's moving fast, trying to escape the walkers chasing him. Rick bends over, breathing hard. He's exhausted, but he can't stop, not until he finds his family. Glenn looks down, his voice quiet. He's thinking of the risks ahead, but he's still willing to help Rick. Rick wakes up alone in a hospital, confused and weak. He calls out for help, but gets no answer. A man in a lab coat watches as another smears blood on mannequins. They're testing something dangerous. Rick puts on a face shield, his hands shaking. He doesn't know what he's walking into. Scientists huddle around a body on the floor. One shouts orders while others scramble to help. A bloody foot lies beside a corpse. Someone just died, and Rick is next if he's not careful. Rick covers himself in guts, his shirt soaked. He's trying to hide from whatever's out there. A man stares at Rick, silent. He doesn't trust him, but he doesn't have a choice. Rick walks down a hallway, blood dripping from his coat. He's trying to stay alive, one step at a time. He peeks through a doorway, breathing hard. Something moved in the dark. He's not alone. A man stands near a bus, staring at bodies on the ground. He's seen too much already. Shane crouches on a rooftop, gripping a pipe. He's waiting for something or someone. A man leans against a wall, bleeding. He's not moving. Shane checks his pulse. He's gone. Two men argue beside a truck in the woods. One wants to leave, the other refuses to go. A man shows a boy how to tie a knot. A woman watches from behind, hanging laundry. On the rooftop, a man lies dead. Three others stand over him, silent. They're running out of time. A man argues with a woman near a campsite. He points at her, angry. She doesn't back down. A boy walks with a man toward an RV. Someone sits on top, watching the sky. Storm's coming. Feet shuffle on pavement. A walker stumbles toward them. They don't see it yet. Glenn looks at a walker, frozen. He doesn't move. He knows one wrong step means death. Glenn stands face to face with a walker. It moans. He holds his breath. This is it. Rick scans the skyline, searching for any sign of life or danger. A walker stumbles toward him, drawn by his presence. He sprints down a rain-slick street, desperate to escape. Walkers swarm the gate as survivors scramble to climb over. He bursts into a building, heart pounding, seeking shelter. On the roof, survivors watch the chaos below, helpless. Glenn radios for help, voice tight with urgency. Figures flee down courthouse steps as walkers close in. He drags a body onto the roof, hiding from the horde. A man grimaces, bracing himself against the rooftop edge. He gasps for air, adrenaline still coursing through him. Two survivors pull a rope, trying to secure their position. Glenn stares in horror as walkers press against the car. The horde pours into the building, crushing everything inside. Darkness swallows the screen. Silence follows the chaos. A man kneels on the roof, catching his breath after the fight. Rick grips the steering wheel, driving away from the city. The screen fades to black as the credits begin to roll. A man smiles faintly, relief washing over him after survival. The world remains silent, broken, and full of unseen threats. Rick Grimes wakes up alone in a deserted hospital, confused and injured. He stumbles through empty halls, finding only silence and decay. A walker lunges from a doorway, forcing Rick to flee in terror. Rick finds a police cruiser, but the keys are missing. He searches desperately. He drives through a ghost town, the streets eerily silent and abandoned. Morgan Jones spots Rick from a distance, watching him with suspicion. Morgan aims a rifle at Rick, demanding to know who he is. Rick lowers his weapon, pleading for help and information. Morgan lowers his rifle, inviting Rick to his camp for safety. At camp, Morgan's son Dwayne plays nearby as Morgan explains the new world. Morgan teaches Rick how to shoot, preparing him for the dangers ahead. Rick practices firing, learning the skills he'll need to survive. Morgan warns Rick about the walkers, emphasizing the constant threat. Rick asks about his family, desperate for any news of their fate. Morgan reveals he hasn't seen them, but offers to help Rick search. Rick hugs Dwayne goodbye, promising to find his own son. Morgan gives Rick supplies and a map, urging him to head south. Rick drives away, determined to find his wife and son at any cost. He spots a red car on the road, a sign of other survivors nearby. Rick stops the car, hoping it leads him closer to his family. Morgan sits by a fire, warning Rick of the new world's dangers. Dwayne listens quietly, absorbing his father's grim lessons. Morgan grips Rick's arm, stressing the need to stay alert. Herschel talks to his daughters, trying to keep hope alive. Morgan stares into the dark, haunted by what he's seen. Carl sleeps peacefully, unaware of the world outside. Rick kisses Lori, holding her close in their tent. Lori rests against Rick, finding comfort in his arms. Rick whispers to Lori, promising to protect their family. A hand touches a photo of Rick, Lori, and Carl together. Lori looks at Rick, her voice soft with worry. Rick kisses Lori again, trying to ease her fears. Lori smiles faintly, clinging to the moment with Rick. Rick kisses Lori deeply, holding her as if she might vanish. Lori pulls away slightly, her eyes searching Rick's face. Rick lies awake, his mind racing with what lies ahead. Lori stands by the car, watching the woods for danger. Herschel checks the engine, urging the group to move on. Lori looks down, her hands trembling as she packs. Rick pulls Lori close, shielding her from the coming storm. Rick and Lori run through the woods, desperate to escape the walkers closing in behind them. A walker lunges at the group. Shane swings his bat, crushing its skull to protect everyone. Rick stares at Shane, shocked by the violence. He doesn't understand the new rules yet. The group stands tense as Daryl steps forward, his crossbow ready for any threat. Beryl collapses, exhausted from the fight. He's injured but refuses to show weakness. Rick watches Daryl, realizing survival here demands more than he's prepared to give. Beryl pushes himself up, ignoring the pain. He won't let the group see him falter. Daryl glares at the survivors, warning them not to underestimate the danger they're in. Shane and Rick argue fiercely over leadership. Trust is already starting to crack. Daryl struggles to stand, sweat pouring down his face as Rick watches him closely. T-Dog scans the trees, alert for walkers. He knows one mistake could get them all killed. Rick, in his sheriff's uniform, tries to calm the group. His voice wavers with doubt. Daryl sits near the fire, eyes locked on Lori and Carl. He's watching, always watching. Rick talks to Glenn near the car, planning their next move. Time is running out. Rick's voice trembles as he speaks. He's trying to hold them all together, barely. Carl looks up, confused by the tension. He doesn't understand why everyone's so scared. Rick pulls Lori close, whispering promises. He's trying to shield her from the truth. Rick's jaw tightens as he listens. He knows the group is fracturing under the pressure. Glenn leans against the RV, silent. He's waiting for Rick to make the next call. Rick looks down, defeated. He's starting to realize he can't protect everyone. Rick wakes in an empty hospital, confused and alone. He calls out but hears no answer. The world outside is silent. Shane carries a bag to a truck, leaving camp. He doesn't look back. Others watch, but no one stops him. A woman smiles faintly while washing clothes. She doesn't speak. The quiet feels heavy, like something's about to break. Men walk beside a truck on train tracks. One holds a weapon. They move fast, like they're being chased. Rick watches from a ridge as a woman walks toward a quarry. He doesn't follow. He's still trying to understand. Rick wades into the water, looking for something. He doesn't find it. His hope is fading with every step. Two women sit by the water's edge. They don't talk. They just stare ahead, waiting for something to change. A blonde woman speaks quietly. Her voice is low, like she's afraid someone might hear. She looks down, not at anyone. Beryl holds a crossbow, walking with Shane and another man. They're heading somewhere dangerous. No one hesitates. A woman with short hair looks down. She doesn't cry. She just sits still, like she's already given up. Shane rubs his chin, thinking hard. He doesn't speak. Whatever he's planning, it's not good for anyone else. Rick rests his head on his hand, staring at the water. He's tired. The weight of everything is crushing him. A woman argues with Rick by the water. She gestures wildly. She's angry, but also scared. He doesn't answer. She turns away from Rick, jaw tight. She's done talking. Whatever he says now won't change her mind. Rick walks into a dark store, flashlight in hand. He scans the shelves. He's looking for something specific. Daryl loads his crossbow in the dark. He doesn't rush. He's used to this. He's ready for whatever comes next. Shane talks to a blonde woman near the rocks. He's calm, but she doesn't trust him. She backs away slowly. Three women stand by the water. One touches another's shoulder. They don't speak. They don't need to. Shane looks down at the blonde woman. He says something quiet. She doesn't react. She already knows the truth. A hand moves quickly across fabric. Something is being hidden. Or maybe taken. No one sees it happen.